Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach, and today we're doing the first instalment of my player profiles on the most popular players. Now, the rough idea of what this will be doing more player profiles rather than just a club one, and we'll work our way from, say, your top 30 to 35 most popular players and work our way down to the most popular. Now, obviously, popularity and percentage of teams will change as I go through this, so I'll be doing a bit of a horses for courses, and if I feel some guys are maybe worth talking about more than others, like there obviously are some drafties and some guys in the top 30 that like Pickett and things like that, and in reality they won't be popular unless they're named in round one. So some guys I might leave out and replace them with other fellas that I believe are perhaps more interesting to talk about. You know, maybe someone like Rory Laird, who's just outside the top 30, but I think he's pretty relevant to talk about. So it won't be an exact, say, top 30 down to 1, but it will be in that sort of line of thinking. I'll be looking around your sort of 35 most popular players, and as the weeks go on, I'll sort of work down to our most popular, which at the moment is Nat Fyfe, I'm pretty sure. So I'll be doing those, and hopefully they're quite interesting going for an exact player, because in the past I've done more previewing the lines, midfield, forward line, back line, ruck, whatever, doing your clubs and things like that, maybe comparing a few players, but I thought it'd be good to focus in on some absolute and genuine players that are really relevant for our side. So kicking us off is Marc Murphy. Now, at the moment, he's the 32nd most popular player in 21% of teams, and for good reason. He's 432,000, the Carlton skipper, very, very much under the odds. But I guess, what do we need to know? Why is he that cheap? Of course, he only averaged 79.5 last year. After struggling with ankle injury for much of the season, now he only played the 10 games and did have 2 injury-affected games in round 4, only played half the game, and in round 10, which was his last game, only played 6% of game time. So if you take out those 2 games where he scored 36 and 12, he would average in the low 90s. I think it was about 93. So reasonable numbers for what was an injury-affected season. But I'll present firstly the case of why you'd pick him, and then we'll go into the case of why you might not pick him. Then I'll give you a bit of a verdict and discuss a bit more about that. So first off, why are you going to pick him? Obvious, he's a premium who's underpriced. Now, 432,000 you can snap him up for. He's a guy who's no stranger to averaging 3 figures. So I guess if you look at it on paper, you know, he's a nice pick. Why wouldn't you pick him? I mean, he's a bloke who's averaged in the 110 plus category and range many times before. We do have to go back somewhat, but he is shown that he's capable. In the past, he's averaged between 112 and 118 between 2009 and 2012, but in more recent time, averaged 92.4 in 2013, and working our way back, 106, 103, and of course, the 79.5. So I guess it's obvious why we'd pick him. He's under the odds, presents value, can give us some nice scores. Playing the devil's advocate, why are we not going to pick him? Those reasons aren't as clear, but they're the ones you want to look for. Often it's easy to look at the positives of players, but it's critical that we look at, particularly in our midfield, where you just have to get it spot on, why you don't pick guys. Now, I personally have to question Marc Murphy's ability to handle the tag and the pressure, as well as his durability, as well as his ceiling. Now, firstly, the durability. Only the 10 games last year. He's also had some shoulder troubles throughout recent time, so there's something you might want to look into, because once upon a time he was very durable. Maybe not the case anymore. His ability to shake off a tag, of course, in recent time the Blues haven't had the best midfield of all time. He's copped a lot of heat, carried a lot of pressure, not only as a captain but simply workload through the midfield. And no doubt his best years coincided when he was coming through the ranks and was sort of in the shadow of Chris Judd. By no means was in the shadow of stats-wise, but certainly opposition teams definitely went straight to Judd and looked to shut him down. Now, he did average between 112 and 118 for about 4 years there. Fantastic numbers. But since 2012, he really hasn't given us genuine numbers that say, I'm an out-and-out premium. He's certainly given us numbers of probably your 3 figures, sort of 100 to 105 mark. And I think that's probably what we can expect from him. So you've got to ask that question as well. Is he going to get through injury-free? Can he handle the pressure? And does he have a ceiling? Because personally, when I'm looking at him, I'm seeing he's probably just a guy who can regularly get you 90s and early 100s, but only on the very rare occasion where he absolutely dominates and tears the game apart and has one of those, I guess, blip on the radar games for these sort of players that he does get you 130, 140. So that's worth considering. Now, my verdict is probably leaning towards no. I'll try and be as decisive on these verdicts at the moment, and I guess the most simple way to be decisive is he in my team at the moment? No, he's not. Will he enter my team? I would have to say no. 90% no. Of course, if the bloke comes out and absolutely dominates the pre-season and our JLT Community Series, whatever it's called now, then your ears prick up and you almost got to reconsider things. I think a lot of sides will go Dane Beams or Marc Murphy, and I think most are certainly leading towards Dane Beams. But such is the point of this series, he is popular. 21% of teams, so he's not going to be in my team, and the reason being, I feel like we'll eventually need to trade him. That's my main philosophy. He's priced at $432,000, which I like. Is there value in that? Absolutely. He's certainly priced on the odds. Do I think he can average 100? Yes. I think if I'm predicting averages, like I said before, I'd say in the low 100s mark. Probably your 103, 104. I don't think he's an out-and-out premium these days. I think he's a guy who can be easily shut out of games and has been a little more outside in recent time. Now, there was an article suggesting that he will take on a more inside role now that his shoulder's fully recovered and he's fit and firing, having a good pre-season, a great summer. So that might be something you consider, and it might be why he's in over 20% of sides. Maybe the rise of Patrick Cripps might appeal to people as well. Murphy played his best footy with a big contested ball winner, an absolute superstar in Judd alongside him taking the pressure. Maybe if Cripps can get to round 1 in full fitness, then he might do likewise. Obviously Cripps isn't Judd, but he could be on the way to superstardom as well, so Murphy could benefit from that. So there's a few things that are probably in people's minds, but to give you a straight up verdict, I'm going to have to say no. Consider and keep on the radar, but until he proves me otherwise, he won't be in my side, simply because I want to pack my midfield with genuine stars. And I got away from a point there, the trade thing. Now, I think you're going to have to end up trading him anyway, because I don't see him being a top 10, top 12 midfielder. And I think when you're paying that sort of coin, he's not a guy that I'm getting for financial reasons. I feel when I pick Dane Beams, I'm picking him because I believe he can stay on my team for the whole year. Where Murphy, I think, will give you nice numbers, probably rise to 500, 550, but I think you'll eventually need to trade him. Now, yes, he might give you some good points, but I feel for a bloke who can probably give you 100k and average nice numbers, is that worth it? Rather than going, say, saving 200 to 300k, going with a David Swallow or a young gun and saving a lot of cash and upgrading elsewhere. I guess that's a decision that we got to make. But personally, I just feel you don't want to get halfway through the season and be seeing other players and other coaches with much stronger midfields, and you've still got sort of Murphy, who is sort of on the underbelly of a genuine premium. And I know it's probably only 5, 6, 7 points a game off that 110-ish mark, but it can cost you and it can add up. So I think Murphy will be a nice guy at the start of the season and earn you some money and be a stepping stone to a pre-season, or a premium, I should say. People will find that funny because I do say pre-season quite a lot. But yeah, he might be a stepping stone to your premium guy. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't really want to be paying 430k for a guy who's only going to get me a little stepping stone. So I think if we're paying that sort of cash, I want to be keeping him for a long time, like Isaac Heaney, Dane Beams, things like that. You know, if you're picking Hartlett or something like that, you're viewing them as a keeper, not a stepping stone. So that's my main reason, in amongst the lack of durability and the lack of ability to take a tag regularly. You know, Cripps may help that. I think the main reason is the fact that I believe eventually Murphy will have to have a trade used for him to upgrade him, and I'd feel that I could use a trade better elsewhere and utilise another player to get me more cash. So that's my reasoning. It's a no at the moment for Marc Murphy. So hopefully, guys, you have enjoyed my first player profile. There'll be plenty more to come, probably around your 25 to 30 mark. I would like to think I could churn out. Next up, we've probably got the most reliable player in SuperCoach history. He never lets us down. Will we be going with him in 2017? He's currently in my side, so stay tuned for that. I'll hopefully have that one up in the next couple of days. Of course, subscribe to the channel. I've said it a lot lately, getting a stack of subs on board. Great to see. If you're listening to one of my first videos and you're just on board, thanks for joining. Comment on the video as always. Give me your thoughts on Murphy. Are you going with him? Are you one of the 21%? Are you going to let him go by the wayside and not be in your side? Give me a reason why. And of course, give the video a like. It's always good to give the video a bit of credibility with a few thumbs up. So again, thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll do another player profile soon.